So I'm all set up to go. I glance over at the faces in that intro, those faces of myself, professional wrestler Christopher Wylde, and Zac The Ripper Comics. And that's the type of podcast this is going to be as we open up a can of Sopranos with Sopran'Bros, a TV series that is probably one of the best, if not the best ever, that has influenced both me and Zac. And with the movie coming out in October and it being on different streaming services now, The Sopranos is kind of making a comeback in our generation. And I got to be honest, we've been talking about this for a while. But Zac The Ripper Comics, he's been on a little bit of a hiatus because he jumped down a rabbit hole, a big rabbit hole. And in that rabbit hole, the wonderful world of Kush. I'll let Zac go ahead and take it from there.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely true. First off, Chris, I want to thank you for doing this project with me. Like you said, this has been a passion, if I can speak correctly, passion project of yours and mine for a long time now. And we have conquered the professional wrestling rings. You are still going. I've done all I needed to do in that realm. And from there, when 2020 happened, we decided, and I know you had started yours a little bit sooner, but we had decided to take what we did in the ring and take it to YouTube, take it to podcasts, and we've created 2 successful channels, and here we are now with the Sopran'Bros. We're going to take a look back through all, what is you said 86 episodes of The Sopranos?
86. Yep.
86 episodes. That's insane. And we're going to do complete in-depth reviews. We're going to do some interviews. We're going to have some secrets, some videos that nobody's ever seen before when it relates to some of the places where the show was shot.
Yeah. We got tons of stuff written down and ready to go, different projects. And again, this is the world now. YouTube has kind of taken over. And it's a good thing for shows like The Sopranos, for shows like Friends, where people that didn't have, I mean, if you think about this, when The Sopranos first aired, only 11 million people had HBO. So
Wow.
There were a lot of Sopranos parties. People were going to other people's houses to watch the show. But now with it being on HBO Go, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, again, you're getting this new generation of people. And as we go through these episodes, this is a show that I'm not so sure if it could be made today. A lot of sensitive content. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I'm not going to hold anything back because it would be taking away from the artistic integrity of the show.
Absolutely.
But there is a lot of not PC stuff, and again, that's just how it was back then, and how the Italian culture was back then. Not so much now, but back in the day. So with that being said, Zac, when did you first discover the show? Because I'm guessing it was when we were living together. Was that?
No, I discovered the show. I knew of the show when it was on new. I think it was on Sunday nights. Was that the original?
Yep, Sunday nights.
Okay. I can remember when it started. I didn't have HBO, but like everybody, back then there wasn't 1,000 channels with 1,000 programs to get lost in. Yeah. And HBO was appointment viewing television. So everybody around the water cooler, so to speak, would be talking about this new show, The Sopranos. They said, "Oh, it's a mob show." And I thought nothing of it. I was busy with other things in life, and I didn't really care. I didn't watch it until you and I had our bachelor pad.
Yeah.
And that's when I finally sat down and watched it through for the first time.
Yeah. I think I'm like you. I had so much different stuff going on, and being young, that age, all you're worried about, at least we were, was wrestling and girls.
Absolutely.
And drinking and partying. So it wasn't until I think, again, I heard of the show, but when we first moved in, I've got a little surprise here for you.
Okay.
It was these bad boys.
There it is.
This is how we watch The Sopranos. Yeah. Kids at home.
Whoa! They don't even know what they are.
I'm about to blow somebody's mind out there.
They probably think they're books.
Yeah. These are, and sorry for the glare, these are something that back in the day we called DVDs.
Yep.
And they're these little discs that we put in a machine and we would get some video. But these were expensive as shit back in the day.
Yeah, tell them how much. How much?
I think they were $80 a piece, but I bought a bunch of them used. at the video stores. And again, kids these days don't know what the hell a video store is, but it was a store where you bought videos.
And we're talking, what year was it? 2006?
Yeah, maybe. No, 2007-ish. No, you know what? Me and Zach have a deep history. Over 20 years of knowing each other. I actually lived with my mom at the time that I got these. And I think that's when we started to watch them on like after wrestling nights, we would throw these DVDs in.
So I just looked up the old inflation calculator, and just from 2006 until now, it's $104 that $80 has turned into.
Wow.
So $104 for one season when you can pay $10 for Amazon Prime or HBO Max and watch the entire thing.
It's crazy. And as I said, 11 million people. That's it that had the HBO. So let's go ahead and get right into this first episode, the pilot. Now, David Chase is the creator of the series. He directed this episode. He only directed 2 episodes throughout the history of The Sopranos, and that was this one and the last one. He tried to actually sell this as a movie, and from what I researched, he wanted the actor that played Syl to actually be Tony Soprano because he saw him doing impression of Al Pacino.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
So you can imagine how different that would have looked. But yeah, he got turned down for the movie, so I think it got picked up as a series by HBO, and not many people wanted it, which is crazy when you think about it now. But they started filming in '97, and it actually premiered in '99. The series got picked up a little bit after the pilot premiered, so. Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about that time frame, especially nowadays.
And when you give me those time frames, I can remember specifically, as you talked about in the beginning of the show, both of us being professional wrestlers. I can remember when Sopranos was so big that even on nights of a wrestling pay-per-view, the wrestling pay-per-view still won out. But I can remember people talking back and forth, like, which one are you going to watch?
Yeah, because there wasn't DVR.
Correct.
There wasn't
TiVo.
No,
like you had a VCR. You were lucky if you could record one channel while watching another.
Yeah.
So before we deep dive into the plot of this episode, we do want to make it clear that, and Chris hinted at in the beginning of this, I have had a professional wrestling career-ending injury relating to my back. With that, I have since become a user of medical marijuana, Kush, as Chris Wylde put it earlier. And we just want to let everybody know that the fun part of Sopran'Bros is that I am watching every single episode completely cushed up. And as you'll see, the notes that I'm taking, that I took during the episode, I was completely cushed up also. So this should be fun. I have not looked at the notes minus one time accidentally peeking to see what I wrote during these episodes, but I just wanted to let everybody know straight up front that my opinion and the views I share from when I watched it live and took these notes are of a cushed up Zac the Ripper Comics.
I think it's hilarious. To see how we haven't talked about this episode either until right now. We haven't talked about it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. Again, this is the pilot. Now, the synopsis of the series, it's about a mobster that is trying to balance his regular family and his crime family. And he's got a lot of issues, and he goes to see a psychiatrist, a therapist, which is unheard of in that world. It's just
especially back then.
Yeah, you just don't. So he's got to do a lot, and we'll get into all this through the episode. But it starts off, the very first scene starts off, and it's funny when you think about it, the way that the series went. You see Tony Soprano sitting in the green room or the lounge area of Dr. Melfi's, his therapist, and he's staring at this green statue of a female. Her legs are spread. She's topless. You get they look at her face, and he's looking at it like perplexed. You get the feeling that maybe like he might be making a mistake here. Now people have said, And of course, everybody tries to psychoanalyze all these scenes, but people have said that when they do that close up to the statue's face, that it looks like a young Olivia that is his mom. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but it's funny. And
I
the
hope
scene,
not.
dude, I can't stand that woman.
She's the worst.
She's the worst. But it's just kind of hilarious to me that it started that way. And they actually have a scene in season 3 with Carmela. She's sitting there, same scene, perplexed by the statue. So I jumped ahead a little bit. I kind of wanted to talk about the intro too.
Yeah, I have
to the Sopranos.
Minutes.
That awesome song. It's by the Alabama 3, right? Woke up this morning and you see the Jersey. He's driving on the Jersey Turnpike. You see the Twin Towers, that famous pizza shop there. And it's just, I don't watch themes of shows. I skip right through them, you know. But this one I always watch for some reason.
I don't skip The Office, but yeah, I don't skip Sopranos either. I actually want to back up slightly before that. My first note was I loved hearing the surprisingly still Lloyd HBO screen turn on. Now, I think this was supposed to say loud. And there's just something about that old school, like you're on the wrong input HBO snowy screen.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Yeah, like
because
that gives you the feels. That takes you back.
Yep. Every HBO show I watch, when I hear that open, because it's still the same open.
Yep.
I'm waiting to hear the song, the Soprano song, those first couple beats.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, that's the Lloyd HBO.
Yeah, it was very Lloyd. I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
Following that, my next note, because I'm not getting ahead or anything yet, I put, and then my girl's neck hurt, so I rubbed THC lotion on it.
Oh, so we're going, so Kush in many forms.
Yes, there's many forms of Kush, one of which is lotions, and they're very good. My next note is, then I fell asleep.
Damn, that's quick.
And woke up thinking it was the morning. Kind of fitting, right? So now again, I try to watch and go. So I tried to watch again after that, and I got through at that time.
Anything about that first scene with the statue? No. So after that scene, Melfi comes out, and Dr. Melfi is played by Lorraine Bracco, who people most notably will know, and this is the only place I've ever seen her, was in Goodfellas, and she was Karen. Karen. She was the wife of Henry Hill in Goodfellas. Now, Lorraine Bracco, actually, David Chase wanted her to be Carmela. He wanted her to read for Carmela, and she said absolutely not. She felt like she already did it, which she did in Goodfellas, and it wouldn't have worked.
No, it would have been
because she's always going to be Karen. Yeah. Yep. So she invites Tony into the office, and they just kind of stare at each other. Which before I started going to therapy, I was like, why? Like, this is so awkward. But that's the way it is in real therapy. The therapist never speaks first. She's waiting for you. She wants so.
Wasn't that a Michael Scott trick at one point? Negotiation tactic?
I think so.
But and he said, "This is me not speaking first."
Well, it's a hell of a tactic for these therapists because it works. So I got my notes for the second scene is Tony and Melfi start to talk. She brings up that her friend, Dr. Cusimano, who is Tony's neighbor, recommended her because Tony was having panic attacks. So he was just falling down like out of nowhere. And it's funny because Tony, I don't understand that reference. So I'm gonna laugh at it.
There's a movie where he loses his shit. Isn't it called Falling Down?
I have no idea. Somebody out there let us know.
Chat. Leave a comment. It's called Falling Down, right? Where Michael Douglas just loses his shit. Goes postal. That's where that term came from.
I have no idea. But it's funny in this scene because Tony keeps saying like they made me come here. They talk about the doctors. They said that this is a panic attack. He's still got that wall up. He's not ready to admit that, he's got an issue. Now, the weird thing I felt about this episode, and I got to be honest with you, I don't really like the pilot episode. There's only a couple things in this that I really like.
I don't either, to be honest with you.
The weird thing about this was Tony started narrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, they didn't do that in any of their episodes. He started narrating. So he starts to narrate.
Yep.
But one of the things I found hilarious about this scene in particular is Melfi knows that he's in the mob.
Yeah.
She's got to, Cusimano's
she knows
neighbor.
off the bat. Yeah.
So she says to him, what do you do for work? And with the straightest face, because he's said this a million times, Tony says, waste management consultant. Get the fuck out. I mean, and she's just looking at him like, yeah, okay. Anything you found funny about them being in there talking right off the bat?
I mean, what you just said was funny when he said that, but my only note was, I feel like the best times are behind me relating to wrestling, so I can relate to Tony.
Yep.
I don't remember how that relates to Tony, but that was my note.
And that's actually the next scene when he says this through narration. They show him laying down and he's looking up at the ceiling from his bed. He just looks absolutely effing miserable.
Yep.
Like he doesn't want to get up. And that's when he says that line, like, he feels like he came in at the tail end, that the best days were gone. Yeah. Like his father had all the, the best guys behind him, and he starts complaining about people ratting now. You can't trust anybody. Meanwhile, the guy lives in a mansion. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's living a good life.
Absolutely. And then the next scene that comes kind of sets the tone for the episode. It's kind of what the episode's about, and pretty much the series too. Tony is in this bathrobe, and Tony Soprano, and I'm sure in post-production I'll add a picture. He is a very large, balding white guy, and he comes out in this bathrobe, little wife beater, and he's running out to the pool, excited as shit. And then there's nothing in the pool, and you just see this look of disdain on his face, like complete disappointment. Like imagine a kid going to the living room on Christmas morning and seeing no presents under the Christmas tree. And then all of a sudden you hear quack, 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 and these ducks come out, and he's fucking so happy. He gets in the pool with them.
Yep.
He's giving them bread. He loves this wildlife that's in the pool.
Support wildlife.
There you go. Then we get to, before we see any of his family, the first person that we see that's not Tony Soprano or Dr. Melfi is David Chase's daughter, playing the role of Hunter Scangarella, who is Meadows' best friend. Which I thought that was funny. And we meet the whole family.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And
does she look like David Chase?
I don't know. Look, to be honest, you know what? I'm not going to go there right now, but fine young lady. I think she was maybe 16, 15 years old in this. And it's actually Anthony Jr.'s 13th birthday. He's a little turd right now. Meadow is, she must be 14 or 15, teenage girl. They're all sitting at this little breakfast bar, and you meet Carmela. And Carmela, this series, there's so much with food.
Yeah, there is.
And she's always cooking.
Let me just get this out of the way. Cush or not, you can't watch a Sopranos episode without leaving that episode or pausing it and going to get some long hots and some gabagool.
Gabagool.
You know what I mean? You're going to the fridge and you're going to stand there, you're going to open it up, and you're going to eat it right there.
Exactly. And hopefully don't pass out. Hopefully don't pass out.
Hopefully you don't pass out
afterwards. But right away, Carmela with the food, she says to the girls, hey, would you like some of this Schwoyadel from last night? And I'm like, what the fuck? Tony walks in, says happy birthday to Anthony. I think it's like a dessert, maybe an Italian dessert. I don't know. I'll pop up a picture or something here.
Chat, put it in the comments.
Yeah. So Tony goes, he grabs this bird book, and he's reading this bird book. Yeah. And Tony says something like he came in late last night, and I don't exactly remember what Carmela says, but she kind of talks about Tony cheating on her, like saying, he was like, I was late with work, and she goes, I'm not talking about that. So she knows the deal that Tony being in the mob, like a lot of those mobsters had what you would call a guma, which is the girlfriend. And then they all had the wife, who took care of the family, and the girlfriend was for fun. And Carmela completely knew this. And that'll become a big thing in later seasons, not so much in this one.
What's interesting, I just want to point out real quick, is in these mob movies and television shows, how protective and sacred the sanctity of marriage is, and what the wife means to these men. Yet it's completely okay that they cheat on them. It's
Big
very
double
interesting.
standard.
Yeah,
Huge
double standard
double
for sure. But it's interesting the way they go about it.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying
and that everyone around them goes about it too. And I'll get to that in a little bit with another scene. But this next scene, we meet one of my favorite characters. And that's Christopher Moltisanti, played by, I don't want to destroy his name completely, Michael Imperioli. That sounds like Schvoyadel. Imperioli. And I just think he's great. You see him wearing a ball cap, which is odd.
Yeah, he's like low man on the totem pole here.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You don't remember him that way.
He's not a made guy yet.
Correct.
But and interestingly enough, he only wore a ball cap in this first scene and in his last scene.
Really?
Which to me is crazy. Yeah. So Tony is still reading the Bird book. I don't think so. Maybe David Chase does a bunch of little things that you don't pick up at first. But Tony's still reading this Bird book as Chris is driving him. And Chris was late to pick Tony up. And Tony says something about him being late. And Chris says that he didn't feel good. And his mother said he shouldn't even come in today. So here's this mob guy listening to his mother. My mother said I shouldn't even come in today.
Yep.
And they're driving Chris's Lexus. And Tony's asking Chris if he did all this stuff. And Chris is saying, no, I didn't do that. I did do this. Side note on the production of this scene, which I find this is absolutely hilarious. Michael Imperioli did not have a driver's license. He grew up in New York, so he rode the subway or took taxis his whole life. So he's 31 years old here, no driver's license, had no idea how to drive. So he's figuring it out in his head. At one point, he's got to look at a marker to where he's got to drive to, and he's trying to talk at the same time. He's told to go faster. When he goes faster, he runs himself and James Gandolfini, who's Tony Soprano, into a tree. The airbags go off. Tony's head goes back. The director's assistant, it's a female, is freaking out. But James Gandolfini just starts laughing his ass off. Like, you'd think he'd be pissed off. He's just laughing his ass off. So they have to bring in another Lexus for him to drive. And then you know what happens next. Do you have any notes into this scene?
No. My next notes are back at the house. So
okay, so this next scene is funny. As they're driving, they see a guy that owes Tony money. I think his name is Alex Mahaffey. They see him. He's outside of this HMO. It looks like a medical college. I don't know. So
facility.
Yeah. So Chris gets out, chases after him. Tony's in the car driving, happy as shit, runs the guy over, breaks the one of the lights on Chris's Lexus.
You got to go back to how happy Tony is. He's got the hands like this.
Yep. And he's doing the thing with his mouth, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, hits him, there's all these people around. He gets out, and this is one of the funniest moments to me. So Chris is pissed because he's got this brand new Lexus and the light's out. So he's like, oh, my light. As he's doing this, Tony is beating the shit out of this guy. Yep. He's giving this guy a beating. And the guy's like, oh, my. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The guy says, I think my bone's sticking out. And Tony goes, I'll give you a fucking bone, you prick.
And then he calls Christopher over.
Yes.
And he's like, get over here.
Yes. And you know what they do next? is something that we have in wrestling shows just to humor ourselves have done. And I like to call it the mob kick dance.
Yep.
And it's where like they're not really kicking the shit out of people,
Yeah.
but they're just like, you know what I mean? Like just little kicks. This shit. And Tony, of course, yells at everybody, "It's okay. He's a degenerate gambler."
Yep.
It's
okay.
And they get in the car. Another sidebar about this. There was actually a deleted scene. The guy that got beat up was with this girl. And at the end of the scene, the girl gives Christopher a look. Later on in the show, there's going to be, in the episode, there's going to be a scene where Chris calls Tony, and he's actually got that girl with him. Like
nice.
she looks like she's turned on from everything. So the next scene brings up the pork store. They're at the pork store, which is where they have an office. They have a lot of their meetings. Now, at this pilot, the pork store was called Santini's, which is a real place. Every other episode, they change the name to Satriali's, which is not a real place. People have thought it's a real pork store, but it's not. When you get there, you meet the rest of the cast. You meet Big Pussy, and I'm not being vulgar. That's actually his name.
Pussy sighting. So what we're going to do, big pussy sighting. So if you're listening right now and you'd love to see some big pussy.
Well, here we go.
Chris Wylde is going to insert a picture of big pussy right here. Just huge, big pussy.
And he's played. Go ahead. I'm trying to be all technical.
Yeah. It's back off. Big pussy sighting. What we're going to do each and every episode on Sopran'Bros is we're going to have pussy sightings. If you spot pussy, if we spot pussy, whoever spots pussy, we'll talk about it, and you can leave it in the comments below. Let us know where you spotted pussy in this episode, Chris.
And in this whole series, it shows like the good that pussy can do and the bad that pussy can do.
Correct.
But Big Pussy is played by Vincent Pastore.
There's even fishy big pussy later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
It's the worst.
I don't know of anything else Vincent Pastore has been in. Obviously, nothing as important as this. But we also see one of my favorite. Actually, I'm going to go on record right now. My favorite actor or character in this, and that's Paulie Walnuts, played by Tony Sirico.
He's the man.
Oh, he is. I mean, some of his stuff is just awesome. And he was actually read for the role of Junior Soprano.
I heard
Tony's uncle.
Yeah,
so could you imagine? Like, I just couldn't imagine. But Tony
he's not
Sirico,
old enough. Yeah.
Yeah. That he actually, and everybody knows Tony Sirico or Paulie Walnuts for the wings.
Yeah.
So he would go to Brooklyn, get his hair dyed black, jet black, and then have the wings in there. So we're also going to do a Paulie Walnuts wing-a-meter. And in this episode, the wings are really little. They're really little. And I think that's a good, we're not exactly halfway. Maybe we're halfway through the episode at this point or through the beginning. And speaking of Paulie Walnuts, I think it's a great time to just kind of take a little bit of a break. Zach, you remember what Netflix used to be, right? Like Netflix wasn't always Netflix.
Correct.
I mean, it was, but there was a different way. It wasn't a streaming service. So let's look at our guy, Paulie Walnuts, and Netflix right here.
Why, Jimmy? Why are you still not renting your movies from the Netflix? Come here, sit down. It's easy. Make a list of movies you want to see and get your first DVDs in the mail in about one business day.
Oh, it is easy.
Shut up. Keep them as long as you want. Send one back in a prepaid envelope, and they automatically mail another from your list. Late fees? Forget about it.
No late fees.
Shut up.
There's a movie waiting for you at home. Netflix. All the DVDs you want, starting at only $9.99 a month.
Can you imagine $9.99 a month to get movies sent to you?
Crazy, isn't it? And you have to wait for them still.
Oh, it's insane. And I don't want to get too far off the Sopranos here, but do you know that Blockbuster, they were offered, the guy that whatever company owned Netflix wanted to sell it to Blockbuster.
Correct. The
and
technology.
they said, hell no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
What a mistake that was. So we're at Satrial still. The guys are talking about a garbage contract because that's how these guys make their money. Now, Silvio Dante, who is another one of my favorite characters, he's actually played, and he's not an actor, but he's actually played by Steven Van Zandt. Yep, Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band, guitarist for them. He is a big player in this series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically Tony's consigliere. That's not right. How do I say that? Consigliere. Larry.
Oh,
Larry Burns. Shout out. Anyway, he's like he's Tony's right hand man. So it gives Tony advice. I don't think he was supposed to be a big part of this show.
Correct.
Because
he was not. Yeah.
He's not sitting there with the guys. He rolls up and they give him the
oh, there he is.
And then, what are you doing up here? And he says, Gabrielle sent me out to get the gabagool, which is the first time they ever mentioned the gabagool. So he actually mentions to Tony that Uncle Junior, who is pretty much head of the family right now,
Absolutely, yeah.
is going to whack little pussy Malenga, another pussy sighting. Here's
the thing, if you're gonna whack pussy, you're gonna go with little pussy or big pussy?
I don't know, whichever one's easier, I guess. But you need to. What Junior's like, if I'm gonna whack pussy, I'm gonna go hard.
Yeah.
And the way that he was gonna do that was Artie Bucco, another just great character here, one of Tony's high school friends, has a restaurant called the Vesuvio, where they all go to, and they wanted to whack little pussy Malenga in Vesuvio. And Tony's like, man, that'll ruin his business. This is, to me, this messes with the plot for me, because a lot of in real life places that these gangsters were shot down at, their business grows after that.
Yeah, it's true.
Because everybody wants to go. It's like a historical landmark, you know? So I don't know, but Tony thinks that no one's going to want to go to the Vesuvio now. So he's got to talk Uncle Junior out of this. And then you see Tony going into the Vesuvio. You meet Uncle Junior for the first time. I love Uncle Junior through the first 4 seasons of the series. Absolutely hated him in the last 2. He thinks he's so important, you know, but everyone looks at him like, everybody looks at him like they call him Mr. Magoo, and they don't take him seriously. And now we go to the varsity athlete comment.
Oh,
This is the first time this comes up. Tony's narrating. You see him talking about Uncle Junior, and he says, he said, I never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Yep.
And Tony goes to the chick I hate the most in this entire series, his mother, Livia.
She's the absolute worst.
Oh my God.
I don't even want to say rest in peace.
Oh,
no. And it's not even her. I mean, she might be a wonderful lady, like in real life.
Not with that face.
But they go to her house, or Tony goes to her house. He's got a big ass boom box.
An ass boom box.
Yeah. Well, nobody knows what that is anyway. Kids, Google that, the boom box. There was these things called CDs that you could play in there. Livia gives Tony shit from beginning to end, to the point where he's knocking on the door. She knows it's him. He's going, Ma, it's me. Who's there? Who's there? Ma. I'm like, I'm done with this chick.
Yeah.
Goes into the house. She asks him if he wants to eat, because it's always about food. She's just so miserable. He goes, always. Ma, I got you this boombox for, she says, this is funny to me. Did you call me last night? Tony's like, yeah, Ma, you didn't pick up the phone. Why didn't you pick up the phone? Because it was getting dark. What the hell? So Tony tries telling her, I brought all your old tunes, puts on some old music, tries to dance with her. She's, get off of me.
Get off of me.
So Tony says, look, can you talk to Uncle June? You guys are close, you know? And she says something. Yeah, she says something like, what would he want to talk to me for? And she's just miserable.
Yeah, but when she says that, you can see in her face that she knows.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's still with it because her husband was the boss of the family.
Yeah.
She knows
very
the
with
business.
it. Yep.
So
very
she
with
says,
it.
what would he want to talk to me for? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's
And
looking forward to it.
this is the first time Tony brings up putting her in a nursing home. Green Grove, which she says, I don't want to go no you're going to put me in a nursing home. And he says, Ma, it's a retirement community. Like he gets so pissed off that it's even called the nursing home. Now we're back at the house. For Anthony Jr.'s birthday party.
So I probably slept through all that because this is where my notes start again.
So go ahead.
So the first thing here, I have this ducking priest. So I'm assuming that's supposed to say fucking. This fucking priest. Little bitch.
Yep.
AJ calling his ZD out is great.
Yes.
Amiel deserved it. Great scene.
Yes. Oh, dude, they hit on all the good points. I hate the priest.
Hate him. He's a piece of shit.
Yep. Olivia and him, to me, first off, he's played by a different actor in the pilot. This is Father Phil. He's played by a guy named, I wrote it down, Michael Santoro here. After the pilot,
nuts cut off.
After the pilot, he'll be played by the very, very annoying Paul Schlutz.
I bet his wife's a schlutz.
Oh my, probably. But he is this guy, always with the food, always eating
nonstop.
Like you said,
comes over, eats Tony's fucking food.
Yep.
I'm getting pissed off right now just sitting here.
So Tony, this is a good scene because the mother calls and says she's not coming.
Yep.
Your mother said she's not coming. So Tony's like, what now? And then Anthony Jr. with the quote, because he's a kid, it sounds even better.
Yep.
What? No fucking ZD now?
Yeah.
So he says that, right?
Uh-huh.
Tony sees the ducks fly away.
Yep.
And as he sees the ducks fly away, he falls down. The lighter fluid pours onto the grill, and the grill explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's freaking out. Oh, Maron! But you're right, great scene. And then the next scene I thought is another one of my favorite scenes. It's the first time that you see any chemistry between Carmela and Tony. And Carmela's played by Edie Falco. Great actress. Yeah. But she'll, again, just nothing will ever top this role. She's played in many different things, but nothing will top this role. But how'd you feel about this scene? Tony is getting ready to get an MRI, and you see Carm there. She's very nervous. Mm-hmm. What makes me think, what got the chemistry was she's nervous, right? And Tony's acting like he's going to die.
Yeah.
Like he's laying there and he's like, we had a good run, had some good times. And
which is way too over the top for the character, in my opinion.
Yeah. But she says to him, she starts talking about him cheating on her. There you go. And she says to Tony, at least I know where I'm going when I die. You're going to hell when you die.
Yep.
As he goes into the MRI. And that scene's important for way into I think season 4 or 5. But there was just such a chemistry between the two of them there, with her nervousness making her so rude. And she can be so annoying to me because she acts like she's holier than thou. Yeah. But she's into she doesn't have a job, obviously. She lives in this big house, spends all his money, eats all his food,
has no problem with the lifestyle.
Yeah, she's no better than he is.
Everybody's double standard in this show.
Yeah, big time. So we go to another scene with Chris, and Chris is in the pork store, and he's meeting. So basically, one of the issues of this show that Tony's mob family is having is there's some Czechoslovakians that are trying to outbid them for this garbage contract. So Chris meets this guy, Emil Kolar. Sounds like a wrestling name. Who's like the nephew of the boss of the Czechoslovakian family or something. And they're supposed to negotiate, right? So Chris keeps calling him Email, which I found hilarious because was email really even a thing then? It must have been brand new.
It existed, but not.
But he keeps calling him Email. And then he gets a butcher's knife, puts some lines of coke on it, and Email goes to sniff a line, and
He's
Chris,
a total douchebag, by the way.
oh, big time, yeah.
He's like an
time.
80s businessman, RoboCop, OCP douchebag.
Yep, it's just I was happy when I saw what Chris did. Chris shoots him in the back of the head, and they flash like pictures of mobsters when this is happening. It was a very weird episode. You can tell it was pilot because they didn't do a lot of this in other scenes. But the important thing about this is that Chris acted on his own. Like Tony did not tell him to kill this dude. Like Chris figured I'm going to kill him. It's going to send the message. They're going to fucking leave us alone with this contract. So again, it's back at the pork store. Very important scene, I think. Next, we see Junior and Tony, and they're leaving.
Can I go back?
Yeah,
because I have some notes from earlier. I think we're further ahead than where I am. There's a funny scene when they're still at the house, and Meadow is getting in trouble, and when Carmela grounds Meadow from going on her vacation, the trip, or AJ in the background's like, yes,
yeah.
When she gets in trouble, and that's real. Like that's what brothers and sisters and all that shit. That's what we do.
So that doesn't happen yet.
Oh, fuck,
it's about to happen.
All right. Well, then.
So that actually happens next. You're going to see Uncle Junior and Tony like walking out of Vesuvio, and Tony's trying to talk him out of getting little pussy whacked there. So the funny thing about this is this is Uncle Junior. Like I love this Uncle Junior version. Is he says he gets mad and he goes, "You might run North Jersey, but you don't run your Uncle Junior."
Yep. And he's right. He's like all in his face.
Yes, and he's like, "Do you know how many fucking times I played catch with you?"
Yep. Disrespectful little fuck.
Yeah. Then you see Father Phil and Carmela in the house watching Tony's TV.
Yep.
He's eating like a little bitch, and they're talking about The Godfather and stuff like this. They hear something outside. Carmela runs in the kitchen, grabs an AK-47, runs out, and that's when you see Meadow.
Real quick, never happens again. Even when later in the series, the spoiler alert, no spoilers, no future spoilers, I know. But I mean, in the future of the series, she has to remove things from the house.
Yeah.
Still no AK-47.
No.
This bitch pulls this motherfucker out within 3 seconds of a knock at the door.
Big time. It's Meadow trying to climb into her room, and that's when AJ locked her out, actually. Yeah. And AJ locked the windows. Fat little kid. Yeah, you hear him.
Yes. Bowl cut bitch. Yeah. Yes.
You go back to Tony and Melfi in her office, and Melfi is just bulldozing him with depression. Do you think it's depression? Do you think it's depression? Like she just keeps asking. And Tony looks at her and goes, you can tell he's annoyed. And he says, "Hey, what part of the boot are you from?" And she tells him, I can't remember. And he tells her what his are. And he goes,
meaning what part of Italy are her ancestors from?
Yep. And he says, "My mother would have loved it if you and I got together." And then Melfi just kind of stares at him
because it's inappropriate.
And this is also because this was his way of getting out of depression talk, but this was another important scene because Tony is really like going in, like really like he starts talking about this is one of the parts where he talks about Gary Cooper, and he says, people need to be more like Gary Cooper, strong, silent type. That was a real American. I know everybody's talking about their feelings and this and that and Bofangu, like he just goes nuts. She still badgers him about the depression. He says, yeah, he's probably been depressed since the Ducks left, gets up, walks out, slams the door. And she's just left sitting there. It's also at this point where he gets she prescribes him Prozac Connor. So anything you found interesting about that?
Yeah, I mean the whole depression talk, man. Depression's real. And I urge anybody that's out there that's listening to this or watching this, if you are suffering from depression, reach out, talk to somebody professionally. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not the Gary Cooper type. It just means that you could potentially save yourself and others from some sad stuff.
And Gary Cooper was a pretend character, like
correct.
You know what I mean? But like Tony Soprano, here's this big mobster and he needs the help. So, and again, we're talking about a fake character, but depression's very real. Next scene is kind of funny to me, but it's also kind of like, come on, guys. It's Big Pussy and Chris, and they've got email wrapped up in like plastic, and there's a dumpster, probably 16 feet high. Yeah, it's so high. Like, I don't know why they thought they could throw his body in there. Like, maybe it's for comedic purposes, but every time they go to toss him, he just hits the side of the thing. And Pussy is trying to educate Chris on the business, like how to do things, how he shouldn't have probably killed Email. And Moltisanti says, like it's like Louis Brazzi. We're sending a message like Louis Brazzi. He sleeps with the fishes. The Big Pussy is like, it's Luca Brazzi. And this is nothing like the Luca Brazzi situation. And then he goes into what Chris should have done. And they go, and I think they cut this guy up and bury him. But yeah, definitely just one of those scenes where I'm like, come on, they couldn't have been so stupid that where they thought they're gonna
correct. These guys do this like for a living.
Yeah.
They should know by looking at the thing, they're not getting them in there.
So we go to the nursing home with Livia and Tony. Livia's looking around. You can tell she kind of likes it, but she doesn't want to say it. And then the door opens and you see doctors and shit. They got somebody on a stretcher and she freaks out. This is a nursing home. Tony collapses again. Right. And you got to watch this because it's hilarious seeing this 300-pound guy just boom. So we talk about him getting prescribed the Prozac. He's back in Melfi's office. He looks like shit. He's all disheveled. He looks bad. He starts talking about how like his dad was such a tough guy and his mother wore him down to a little nub. A guy like that worn down to a little nub. And then Tony's like, and the business is so hard now with Rico and everything. And Melfi looks at him and goes, Rico, is that your brother? And
she knew.
Yeah, she starts laughing. She goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then he says the famous quote that he's a sad clown, crying on the inside, laughing on the outside. And then we see our very first introduction to the Bada Bing, which is actually the Satin Dolls in New Jersey. Bada Bing's owned by Silvio. There's a meeting between Christopher and Hesh, who is a Jewish man that has known Tony's dad, is in the family forever.
I like Hesh.
Hesh, they do a lot of takes care of a lot of money situations for Tony and is trying to iron this stuff out between the Czechoslovakians and the Soprano family. Tony gets an idea to have like false HMO funds as insurance fraud. And this goes back to the Mahaffey guy that they beat up earlier. So they start talking about, there's a good quote in here. They start talking about Uncle Junior and little Pussy. And Hesh says, it's messed up. He's gonna, I can't believe he's gonna whack Big Pussy. And Tony has this pissed off look on his face and he goes, you think he's gonna mess with Big Pussy? My pussy?
Chris, is Big Pussy your pussy? Like, do you think Big Pussy's your pussy?
Oh, no, Big Pussy's a rat.
That's
Spoiler
true.
alert.
Yeah.
Hesh tells Tony to get Artie out of town. Get him out of town. If he's out of town, the restaurant won't be open and nobody can get killed there. Tony acts like this is the best thing ever. Then you see Carmela taking money out of a Campbell's can to take Meadow to an art museum to have a dinner under Eloise's portrait or some shit.
Wearing fucking gloves.
Oh my God, it's so annoying. And Meadow is just such a little C word here.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going with you. And, they have a big fight. She's still grounded.
Bunch of idiots.
Yeah. One of my least favorite scenes. Yeah. Yes. Tony goes to Vesuvio, sees Artie. I love Artie. The things he does with his hands, the way he talks.
He's so lovable.
He just says so many like funny Italian things, just so over the top. Tony gives him the cruise tickets, and Artie's kind of hesitant. Where'd you get them from? Chris is with Tony, and Chris is like, they're comps. And Tony's like, yeah, with the Dental Association. I got these comps, Artie. I can't use them. Artie takes them. Thank you. We go to Melfi's office again. She goes to get Tony. He's not there. No show.
Yep.
We see Charmaine, which is Artie's wife, who might be the hottest woman in the show. Like,
and she doesn't take shit. She doesn't buy into the mob life.
Nope. She was a friend of Carmela's and Tony's back in the day. She does not want the business have anything to do with the mobsters. She's pissed that they even eat there.
Did you say lobsters?
The lobsters, lobsters.
Do the lobsters eat there?
They probably get killed there, I'm sure.
Oh, that makes sense.
But Artie's like, come on, they're comps. And she's like, come on, Artie, comps? Are you serious? And then you see Artie yelling, Tony's a labor leader. Cut scene. Funny. We go to the next scene, which again wasn't very, I don't know. I thought they could have done without it. Tesh, Pussy, and the Mahaffey guy who's all fucked up. They kind of threatened to throw him over this little bridge.
Yeah.
He agrees to the whole insurance fraud situation. And then we see Tony, and you don't see this for the rest of the series. He's at a garbage site. He's behind a mountain full of garbage, and Artie's giving him back the tickets. Tony, I can't take these. So now Tony's got to figure something out because he doesn't want little Pussy getting whacked at the place.
With him there.
Yep. This next scene is very funny to me. We go to a restaurant. It's not Vesuvio, though.
Yep. I have this scene written down.
It's not Vesuvio. Adriana, there it is. Adriana is a wait or a hostess.
Yes.
I don't know if she's Adriana yet, but that actress is a hostess.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, they make sure to put the camera on her. Yeah, but I don't think they give her a name, and I don't know if it's the same character later on.
And Melfi is there with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend, Adriana's telling her boyfriend, like, look, there's no more seats. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, oh, but we made reservations. You see Tony come in with his Russian girlfriend that is played by somebody different for the pilot. He comes in, sees Melfi. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I just want to let you know those decorating tips you gave me are really working.
Yeah.
Meaning the Prozac.
Yep.
Yeah. He sits down, and what do you know? You see him talking to the waiter. A minute later, Melfi's sat down. Her boyfriend's like, do you know who that is? What is that, a client of yours? She says something ignorant to him. But what did you have written down about this scene?
It's not. It's the next time.
It's the next one.
Yes.
Okay. So immediately after the next scene,
yep.
Tony walks in the same restaurant with Carmela.
Different night.
Yep.
But different night. He's taking his girls that he's messing with and his wife to the same restaurants.
Yep. And David Chase does something subtle here. When he's with the Russian girlfriend, the waiter is wearing black. The maitre d', he's wearing black. When he's there with Carmela, he's wearing white.
Okay.
So kind of, again, something subtle, you know.
I didn't even notice that.
So they sit down. There's like some weird Godfather type music in the background, which again, something that just wasn't really done.
Well, real quick, the maitre d' protected Tony.
Yeah.
When Tony walked in with Carmela, the maitre d', who was there the night before when he saw Tony with the Russian girl, says to Tony, oh, Mr. Soprano, haven't seen you in so long.
It's so long. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They all know the deal.
Yeah.
So Tony tells Carmela, I got something to confess to you. And she's holding her wine. And he's like, what are you doing?
She's like, ready to.
She's like, I'm ready to throw this in your face. And he's like, he tells her about the therapy. And she's overjoyed. Oh, Tony, I think this is so great.
To the point it upsets him that she's so happy about it.
Yeah. And he goes, you need to be quiet. Because if the wrong person finds out I'm going to a therapist, I'll get an antidepressant right in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And she thinks it's a him. And Tony doesn't correct her. She thinks the therapist is a him, which again is important a little bit later.
Yeah, when she calls.
We get that scene I talked about earlier. Chris is with the girlfriend of Mahaffey. He calls Tony to say, little Pussy just got out of jail. This is about to go down. We see Tony and Silvio at Med's volleyball game. they're cheering, "Come on, girls! Come on, girls!" And Tony's telling Syl, "Hey, do you know that guy that can do that thing?" And he's setting up the Vesuvio to be bombed. Basically, they leave. Tony goes into a church with Meadow. "Do you know your great grandfather's built this?" With some laborers, and it's a really weird scene to me.
It is a weird scene. It's to try to get Meadow bought into her family roots.
Yeah,
because the character Meadow doesn't give a shit about the mob, nothing
at all.
Go ahead.
Yep, and she's starting to like understand what's going on.
Correct.
Yep. The next scene is Syl walking away from Vesuvio, and it blows up. Kind of like, if you think about this, kind of like the barbecue blew up. Tony's family life. Now you have his business life. The restaurant blows up. Almost the same type of explosion.
Yeah.
So Tony's back with Melfi. They're in there. He's telling her that the Prozac worked. He doesn't think he has to come anymore. And she's like, "It's not the Prozac. It's the therapy. It's you talking. It's she says, "Hope comes in many forms" to Tony. That's one of the quotes she says. And then I know you had to have written something about this dream. This dream is something, I swear it sounds like something you would say that you had. This is Zac the Ripper Connor. I mean, he's so serious when he's saying it. He says he had a dream. She goes, "Well, tell me about your dream." And he's like, "I dreamt that my belly button was a Phillips head screw." And he's unscrewing it. And when he unscrews it, his penis falls off.
Yep.
He's got it in his hand, and he's running around like crazy, seeing if somebody can put it back on. And then a bird comes takes it and flies away.
Takes his dick. The bird takes his dick.
She's like, "What kind of bird is it?" And she gets him to say it was a duck. Right. So then Tony starts to cry.
Real quick. I made a note, laughing my ass off at his dick falling off. I immediately typed, "That's happened to me a tremendous amount of times."
Yep. But it's hilarious. And the fact he's so serious. And then she's saying, she gets him to she's like, "What do you think the ducks represent?" And he's like, "Oh my God, they represent my family. I'm afraid of losing my family." And he starts to cry. Yep. And he's like, "Here we go. Me with the tears." And it's like one of the first times you see him openly show that kind of emotion. So we're getting to the tail end of this episode now as we go back to AJ's party, the part 2. And Tony's at the barbecue with Big Pussy, Christopher, Artie, and Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts. And Artie is upset about his shit burning down. He's like, "Can you believe it? My dreams, everything was coming together. And now it blew up. Faulty fucking stove." And
which is obviously what the insurance company told him happened.
Yeah. And Chris goes, and Chris is like mad. And Chris goes, "How about nobody comes to the restaurant? That's what could be worse." And Tony kind of looks side-eye at Chris and says, "He's right. There's no insurance for that." And Artie's like, "But why would people stop coming? It was just taken off."
Yep.
So here comes my favorite scene of the entire episode. Christopher's sitting on the porch. Tony comes over. What's wrong with you? I'm paraphrasing because there were some choice words in there. I know I'm gonna have to put some censor words in this, some censor noises. But Chris is mad basically because he got no recognition for the email hit. Emil, whatever the hell his name was. And Tony says to him, "You're right. It's my fault. That's the way I grew up. I got no recognition for anything. That's how I was parented." And then Tony tells him about, or Chris tells Tony, "Hey, I have my cousin's girlfriend is a development girl in Hollywood, and you'll see her actually in another season. She said I could sell my life story." Tony gets mad, picks him up, and basically that was not in the script. That was something that James Gandolfini did by himself, getting physical.
That's
and
so awesome.
And we're gonna go ahead and look at this.
My cousin
right
Gregory's girlfriend is what they call a development girl out in Hollywood, right? She said I could sell my life story, make fucking millions. I didn't do that. I stuck it out with you.
I'll fucking kill you. What are you gonna do? Go ahead and refill on me now? know how many mobsters are selling screenplays and screwing everything up?
She said I could maybe even play myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Forget Hollywood screenplays. Forget those distractions. Huh? What do you think I have in that office?
He's so brilliant.
Look, so you can tell when you look at Christopher's face.
Yeah, he's like shook.
But then he realizes, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
Like, this is really good. But the funny thing is, Tony, he says, you think I didn't get offers? Of course.
Yeah, of course you didn't. Yeah.
But right after that, Tony says, everything is going to be fine. Look, it's a beautiful day outside. What could go bad? And here's the brilliance of David Chase. Right after that, he says that, you see a close-up of that witch, Livia, and it's her and Junior in a car.
Mm-hmm.
And Junior starts planting the seeds because he's pissed off because Tony blew up the restaurant.
Yep.
So he starts planting the seeds to getting the okay to take Tony out. He says, Livia, my friends tell me, Junior, you should have your hands more in things. Something might have to be done with Tony. And he kind of side eyes to see what her reaction is. And she kind of gives.
Dude, it's not kind of a side eye. His big
It's a
Mr.
big
yeah, he's like.
Yeah. Those big glasses, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Livia gets there, and imagine this: Livia gives Tony shit as soon as she gets there. What are you cooking those sausages with mesquite? It makes them taste peculiar. And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
What a thing to say.
And then we get
Shut
to
up.
the final scene, which is the pool, an empty pool. And they play the song "The Beast in Me" by Nick Lowe. And like the first lyric of that song is "God help the beast in me." Which again, it's about Tony. Like it's a lot of these episodes have something to do with music. Music plays a part in it. But yeah,
I have a note here in relation to the music too. So right here, I put does not hold up as far as the episode. Bad ending and bad music choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't mind the music choice, but I just felt like the ending was kind of anticlimactic a little bit. Like it was, I don't know. Now the music during the Christopher scene was, you could hear in the background, "No More I Love Yous," which was kind of like, it kind of fit. But yeah, the way it ended, there was just no, I don't know. It wasn't nothing big happened. Like Olivia came.
It felt like a pilot that almost was shot without the plan on getting picked up.
And that's the thing. I think because it was a pilot, they didn't want to go anywhere with it. Like there was no cliffhanger or anything like that, which this is not a show like Friends or like Seinfeld where you could just watch one episode.
Correct.
And be happy. Like you have to watch every episode. It's almost like an 86-hour movie. But yeah, not my favorite episode. Like you said, it just, I don't know. It doesn't really hold up. There were some great parts, like I showed you with him and Chris. The Dick dream, I thought it was funny as hell. But it definitely picks up, and you can tell through the other episodes. There's really some great stuff here. Well, what a hell of a cast they put together. I couldn't see this show working without anybody who they were.
I agree, and there's so much more amazing cast to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
My main thing, you mentioned it in the very beginning. My final thoughts on this episode were, I don't like the narration through therapy approach to the pilot. So they used therapy and the narration to guide the pilot, and I didn't like that. My final grading for this episode is, if we're doing what, out of 5, we want to say, I give it a 1, honestly, out of 5.
I give it like a 3. I give it a 3 because it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. Like if I was watching this back in '99, at the age I'm at now, I'd be like, okay, I'll check it out. I'll check episode 2 out, But if it was horrible, I'd be like, nah, they're doing Olivia. Fuck that. I don't want to watch it. But it started. This is the beginning, and it's just the beginning for us. As you watch more episodes of Soprano Bros, things are going to evolve. Things are going to get better. Again, this is kind of our pilot. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
we're really just playing around with things, video clips, sounds, pictures. There's going to be a lot. Like I said, I'm interested in getting on location to some places too. And I don't want to give anything away because other people will probably steal our ideas.
Probably.
They'll have to have them whacked.
Oh!
Yeah, this is fun. I had fun taking the notes and I had fun researching things, and it's one of those shows you could watch. I probably watched the pilot 18 times. But it's just
I
one
think
of those shows.
I think this was my third time watching the pilot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, first time was with you and our bachelor pad. Second time was, I think 2014. I did a full watch through of the show again, and now this time. This is the first time though I'm watching this show completely cushed up. So it does. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I missed as far as notes. I don't know if I didn't find it interesting or if I was just so cushed up. I didn't notice.
It could be, and we didn't really talk about James Gandolfini, who has since passed. Man, just such a. I watched
We're
this.
We're gonna be talking about him for 86 episodes, man.
But like I watched this and I'm like, it's such a shame, man, that he's.
It is, yeah.
It is such because this guy was so good at this role. Like, he doesn't talk like that in real life.
Nope.
And you can see from this episode, his voice changes.
Yep.
He gets more into that character as it evolves. He also gets fatter and doesn't have as much
big
hair.
Time.
But he's just what an actor. I would love to see him in this upcoming movie that his son stars in. But man, we'll have to do with the 86 episodes that we got out of him. And with that being said, man, I don't know what else you got. I think we've pretty much hit on everything. We're about an hour, 6 minutes. Again, we could have. I mean, I think we deep dove into this. But there's so much meat on the bone for the rest of this series that I purposely left some stuff out that we're going to talk about later.
Absolutely. Like I had said, like as far as James Gandolfini, there's 85 more episodes. Like there's plenty of time and plenty of things to say about him. And if you're listening to this on podcast platforms or watching us on YouTube, please feel free, like the video, leave us a thumbs up, give us a comment, let us know what you liked or disliked about this Sopranos episode or about the Sopran'Bros. I mean, we're up here just doing our thing. Let us know what you liked or didn't like about this presentation. Yeah, and we'll tell you to go fuck off.
Yep. And we'll say, oh, which that's an episode in itself.
That's
the
true.
use of that word.
That's true. Hey, Tone.
There's the like if they're happy, like if I'm happy to see you. Oh. And then there's like if you're pissed off. Oh. Yep. That's crazy. Again, we're gonna do an episode on the Sopranos dictionary at some point of all the things in there. Gabagool.
Absolutely.
Hua. With that being said, I'm Chris Wylde.
I am Zac The Ripper Comics.
And we're the Sopran'Bros. And we will see you next time.
That's the show, folks. I want to thank all of my patrons over at patreon.com/Zac The Ripper Comics for supporting the channel. Not only are you getting exclusive content that you cannot see anywhere else but on patreon.com, but you're also getting some awesome merchandise courtesy of our Teespring store, link in the description below. T-shirts, hoodies, fanny packs, dog sweaters, and even the ever popular ladies leggings. For everybody that liked us on Facebook, found us on Instagram, hit up the ebay.com/Zac The Ripper Comics store for all of your comic book needs. And last but not least, hit the thumbs up on this video, hit the bell for notifications so you know when we go live or when we post brand new content. And last but not least, subscribing to the channel as it goes a long, long way as we are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Until next time.